Welcome back to another Gear Talk. That's right. I've been wanting to get these out a little better, more consistently per week, but yeah, it's been kind of crazy with the schedule. Went from 4 jobs, 2 jobs, waiting to do a test, to get a different job, to get a transfer from a job, but that is taking a long time to do, longer than I thought. So things have been a bit hectic. So here we are. I finally did it, and I'm not gonna lie, not as much time as I wanted to prepare and do these. So I wanted to talk about something that I don't know, like I've wanted to get to. I was getting to. I started a series on, but I never finished. Yeah, we're gonna be talking about the Hivebusters comic today. Remember, like I don't know, like a year to some time ago, I was sitting there and just like, yeah, I'm gonna do it every time they come out, every chapter. Remember that? Yeah, so I have the entire comic collection right now, and this actually isn't a video just to do this. There's actually a bigger reason. We are starting a new series. That's right. We have already done the Carmine series that is finished and done. We are starting another series now. I said I would when I finally got round 2 of Swarm vs. Locust done. I did it. We're finished. We're starting a new one. And you can probably guess, we're starting off, we're going to do the Hivebusters series. So, how this is going to go. I want to get the chapters done. We're going to do that because I already started it. Yeah, I'm a year late to the party, but whatever. I was there when I first did it. Might as well finish. And I'm pretty much thinking I'm going to do a chapter, a character, chapter, a character, chapter, a character. Probably based on, I don't know, probably least significant to most just because this is going to have some things involved with the characters. So I'm probably going to start off. Well, I am going to start off with Tack. Tack will be the first one we tackle. We have Hoffman we're going to jump into. He'll be the very last of them all. Hoffman will be a thing. I'm going to do Hoffman. Then we have all 3 of the Hivebusters. And then we have, and I'm not even kidding you, I have completely forgotten the name of Cole's daughter, which sucks because I'm a big fan of her. She's kick-ass. I want to say her name is Megan. Good news, I've got it right here. So we're looking at Hana. I don't know why I thought Megan, it's Hana. Hana. We're going to do Hana's probably after Tack and just go from there, do the 3, and then figure out how we're going to do it. Maybe talk about the Hivebusters in general and talk about what they're all about. I'm rambling. Let's talk about the second chapter of the Hivebusters comic. Now, I kind of did enjoy the style of the first one I did, where it was just a clear, no-cut, my opinion on everything. Pretty much go through the story, review it, and have a mini discussion on things. So I'm going to do that again for this one, just pretty much no editing, just a straight-through talk. I thought it really covered it well, just an impression. People can go and check it out if they want. You can buy it right now. You can, if you buy it, you can find it online. I would prefer you buy it, really help out the source of everything, help out the publication. Just go and buy it. It's a good read and it's cheap. But yeah, so pretty much starting off where chapter 1 ended, they explain somewhat about the golden statue in the middle of town that belongs to Mac. Or it's Mac in general is what the statue is. They sit down and he explains like, hey, if you're wondering about this, because they ask about it like, okay, Mac, what's up with the giant statue of you in the middle of town? And he says, I literally got this for being the best driver in this entire camp. And they look at him just like, you're kidding. This is really the reason you have the statue. And he's like, yeah, like, I'm not even kidding you. I was the best driver, so I got this. My friend was the best at gardening. He got an award. In this town of Croya, everyone matters. Everyone here plays a part and everyone cares. Everyone's together. Everyone here can get an award for anything. That's just how it is. I was the best driver. I have a giant gold statue. Everyone gets ribbons and medals here. That's just how it works. And it sounds weird to say like that. Like it's just participation thing. Participation ribbons are just a thing there. But you need to understand too in this area, humanity's almost been wiped out and everything, and everyone's doing their best. It doesn't really hurt where it's like, hey, good job. You actually got the radishes in this week. Literally without those, we probably starve. You know what I mean? Like, it kind of a little bit does matter at that point. So they go through Croya. It's dead quiet, dead silent. No one's around because Croya's already been hit by a swarm attack. And you end up going through, and they're walking through the entire town. And at one point, it's mentioned by Mac. Mac and Keegan are having a back and forth about the statue and everything. And he says, and I'm probably going to butcher the line, but he says, you can take the war out of the soldier, but you can't take the soldier out of the man. Pretty much saying, like, yeah, I might have been taken out of my city or whatever, or just an allegory to that kind of idea. Like, I was taken out, this, and this, but the spirit I have is still there. Like, you understand that, and Keegan understands that fully. They all understand that fully. And this chapter really does focus on Keegan's view of Mac. It should be stated, too, that this comic, this came out before Gears 5. I believe the first one did. I believe the rest of the chapters were during Gears. So this came out. This was technically before the DLC, but chronologically, by what it sounds, and there's a little bit of a catch there is on the first chapter here that you pick up on. Technically, the DLC takes place before this comic. In the first chapter, they mention, like, hey, this is the first time or something. You can take it one of two ways. You can either take it as, just this came out beforehand and the DLC kind of went off on its own thing with what happened beforehand and, just it's out there. Or you can take it as, at the very end of Hivebusters, when they get taken by the Snatchers, this picks up directly after the Snatchers. I want to believe the latter because it makes sense, like, oh, God, this is the first time they got taken by the Snatcher, and this continues onward. Again, a few discrepancies in it, but continuing on, this is Chapter 2. So they're walking through Croya, and they're actually going through the whole city. They're leaving, and you realize it is a very large outsider, like, post. It's a big city. It was made, and it was big. And his father is the leader of the city. I should say. The city is abandoned. It's dead. I have a feeling Mac's not moving back in there anytime soon. So they go, and they're going through. They get to the end of it where there's a bridge that leads to the outside. It leads to, like, farmland and everything. And you do notice that, like, on the mountainside, like, here's the city on a plateau, and on a mountainside, there's more buildings. So this is a bigger city than normal. They had to walk through the whole thing. So they go through, and they're finishing, and they go to the bridge. It's destroyed, and Mac is just like, okay, we're gonna have to wade through the water. Do you guys know how to wade? Do you guys know how to get through the water without getting caught, or do you know how to, like, would you know how to swim if you got caught? All that. And they say, you first. I'm very much assuming, because they do it, that they know how to, but I'm guessing they weren't fully trained to just, like, go through the environment that easily. Probably Lonnie, but I feel like Keegan is, like, especially as an Onyx guard, since he didn't go through the academy. He was enrolled in and brought in through recommendation. I feel like he wasn't just, like, trained to go through the environment as much as Mac has. So Mac has the feeling of how to do it, and he's telling a story while they're going through about, like, yeah, we used to sit on different sides of the river throwing rocks. First one to bleed is the losing side. He stops talking immediately when he realizes what he's walking through. You look down, an entire river and not the entire river, there's water going over, but at the bottom of the river, nothing but skeletons. Nothing but the dead. Everyone, and there's a large amount. There's, like, a good, by what you can see on the page, like, you're hitting double digits very easily. And Mac is just like, holy hell. Like, these are all the people I knew. It's not all of them, because they were taken, obviously. It was a Snatcher that came through. Not even a Snatcher, but a swarm attack happened. They took the people. And they start to look around the area a bit, and you understand, and especially how they were able to look through and see, they even say, like, this place was hit, and this place was hit hard. But by how it looks, by how the environment looks, we can guess, like, half a dozen people held off long enough, an entire army of swarm. They held them off so that, like, farmers and civilians could get across the river. Like, there is a lot of damage around you. You see the sandbags are just riddled with bullets. They make it across after all of that, and they, like, Mac, are you all right? And he's like, I'm fine. It's good. I'm going to be okay. These guys were the lucky ones. It's a lot worse if they were to be taken. They make it across, and they make it to a farmhouse now, because they're going to their next site for their final hive bust, you could say. Final. They go up, and they see the farmhouse, and they realize that's riddled with bullets. The fight was happening here, too. And they see a truck that's parked. And Mac, immediately realizes this truck, and he's like, that's Mr. Reliable. That's the thing I would drive around every day, and that's the biggest hunk of crap I've ever seen in my life. I hate it to death. And they look at it, and they're just like, well, does it drive? And he's like, probably not, but I can fix it. So if I can get it to run, it's going to be a lot easier than walking. So the plan is they're going to fix up the truck, they're going to get off to the next hive, and it's going to be quicker than them just walking all the way there and taking like a day and a half to days to do it. So they're sitting there talking about, like, if you can get it going, then yeah, we'll take that. Keegan brings up, like, be careful, okay? We're going to go scout out, we're going to go to that house, and we're going to watch over everything. You need to be careful here. And Mac's like, it's fine, whatever, I got this, it's no problem. And Keegan is like, no, like, really, there's something wrong here. Like, everything's deathly quiet, nothing, like, there's no sign of anybody. And this is when Mac, like, very, I don't know the right words, but it doesn't happen often. Mac sits there, like, he actually gets serious, and he says, like, Keegan, I understand, I get it. I hear what you're saying. I'll be careful. Like, he doesn't say this part, but he says, like, I'll be careful. And Keegan's like, okay, as long as you understand, then yeah. Him and Lonnie then go in to watch out and scout from the house while he takes care of the truck, Mac does. And while they go in, you see bullets everywhere. You see some splatters of blood here and there. Like, this was all, the fighting happened in here too. And the entire time they're going through the city, the bridge, everywhere, they're seeing just riddles of holes and bullets everywhere. And all of them are still like, there's not a body in sight. There's nothing. Whatever took everything, alive or dead, there's just nothing here. So they're scouting out the building. They find a good vantage point. And Lonnie goes through the fridge and finds a few beers. And so you see this scene where they're both sitting by the door. Not the door, but the window overlooking everything. They clink their bottles together, and they're just drinking while they wait. Should we invite Mac, Lonnie asks? No, let's not invite him, Keegan says. Of course. I should also say, like I said earlier, like, this really does reflect a lot on Keegan's view on things when it comes to Mac and the Outsiders somewhat. So Keegan brings this up. He brings up, like, I don't understand. Like, why is Mac, a civilian who has lost everything, why is he so chill about everything? Why does he not give a crap about any of this stuff going on? Why? Why does he want to be a smartass constantly? And Lonnie retorts and tells him, like, everyone has their own way. Everyone has their own way of dealing with stuff. This is obviously Mac's way of dealing with it. And Keegan doesn't really understand, but he does at the same time when Lonnie brings up, like, you have your thing. You've been hugging that Lancer pretty heavily. And he says, okay, what's yours then? And she holds up the bottle she's drinking, just like drinking. So pretty much the thing that everyone does for a coping mechanism we learn is, like, Mac just hides everything with, like, humor or just being a smartass. Keegan really holds on to, like, his Lancer and everything, very personalized it to himself, and he probably holds on to everything Onyx Guard-wise, like, everything he holds very dear. He brings in whatever's his, and he holds it close. And Lonnie, we don't really get a lot into it. She just holds up the bottle. We can assume hers is drinking. Like, she will drink her problems away. That's what it's generally assumed. So those are the three ways that they all cope with the war going on, rebuilding humanity, all of this stuff, them going in and doing suicide missions. This is how they cope with it all. During all of this, we go back to Mac, who's sitting there still trying to fix everything up, talking about his past a bit, saying, like, Amanda, who is, I believe that is his wife, like, Amanda did something stupid and believed in me once. I don't know why she cared about you. Let's try and get you going. If you get working, I'll make you a deal. I'll drive you off a cliff and put you out of your misery. And he's tinkering around and getting things going. And there's a funny line earlier on that shows, like, the dynamic Keegan and Mac have when they're dealing with the truck. He's sitting there looking at it. He's like, oh, you know, the great cog, at least they were able to do one thing right. You guys know how to put together a well machine. And he says, oh, yeah, by the way, the cog that you like to talk so much crap about, maybe you should show some respect for the people who actually were able to get this going for you, the people who have died. Because Keegan's very heavy to the cog. He very much sides with the cog with everything. And then Mac sits there. He's like, okay, fine. All praise the almighty cog and everything they do. And then Keegan's like, okay, that's better. That's fine. So you do see, like, they'll bring up kind of inflections in their voice and everything of, like, hey, that strikes a nerve. And they're able to get over it well enough as long as they understand one another. Because at the end of the DLC, before this, they really do have a lot more major problems, and they get over it pretty quick. Okay, continuing on. Mac gets the truck working. Hooray! So Mac gets everything working, and back over to Keegan and Lonnie, you realize, like, hey, like, they're like, something's up, something's coming in the distance, something's going on. The Swarm heard the truck. The Swarm were not far away. They were quiet enough the Swarm didn't realize, or they were waiting, and the Swarm's like, nope, we heard that, we're going to come in. A ton of juvies. We do have some drones here and there too, but just a ton of juvies coming out. And everyone's just like, we need to hold back, we need to get out of here now. Mac's idea, I'm going to spin around with this thing, back the truck through the building, you're going to jump down from the second floor, land in the bed of this thing, and I'm going to drive off. No one really has many objections. They're more just like, oh god, he's going to drive it through the building. But it's more just like, well, we needed a way out, let's do this. So they do it. And the entire time they're driving off, one by one, they're taking out juvies and drones, but the juvies are quick enough, they're keeping up well enough. They're losing them slowly, but the juvies are, like, hightailing it. At one point, actually, they do take damage. Keegan gets a bullet that goes right into his... Yeah, he gets his in his shoulder chest area, so he gets it, like, right here. He gets shot. Mac checks in, like, are you okay? And he's like, I'm fine, keep going, just keep driving. At one point, too, a juvie is able to get Lonnie right in the mid area. They get her right in the belly portion towards the ribs, and she gets slashed, but she kills them. They've already taken some damage. They're kind of just pushing on at this point. They're not really hurt to the point that they're going to really be harmed, but they're more just like, hey, we're bleeding, we need to get out of here, go, go, go. And they do lose the group. They do, and they start driving and they're going. Then a flock appears. And the flock's not going to be, they're not losing the flock. The flock goes really quick. They're not losing a flock. So the flock is coming in, it swirls around, and it's going to come head on and collide with the truck. That's the plan the flock has. And immediately Mac is like, okay, I'm going to run into this thing, and I'm just going to floor it. And pretty much he tells Keegan, like, I need you to do something heroic. I need you to do something to take care of this. And, his idea is everyone just aim at it and just start unloading and dropping the leech as best you can. And they can shoot all they want. That's where the chapter ends, by the way. Just, you see the leeches coming in and they're just unloading while Mac is just like, I'm going to hit them. And that's really where the chapter just ends. It's just a full force head-to-head collision that's going to happen. Yeah, overall, I enjoyed this chapter. I remember the first time I did one of these, I was a bit more somber recording it, because I didn't have a lot of time. I was a bit sick at the time, too. For this, though, like, I'm a bit more energetic, as you can tell. I want to do a one and done for this, just because, like, that's how I want to do these review ones. I feel it's the best way to get it across, just everything that's fresh in my head let out. Because if I keep stopping things to go over things, or editing-wise, I'm going to realize mistakes, which, it's fine if I have a mistake with this if it's the top of the head, but I'm going to feel really dumb if I have mistakes while I'm sitting down, prepping myself while the camera's off. But that'll do it. The chapter was good. It had a slow start, but I think that was worth it just to get an idea of how Croya was, how the outsiders were. And I guess it could have been a little bit more jam-packed or action-packed. We could have got more of the city. We didn't get a lot of it. I wish, like, a fight could have broke out where the major fight was before, or, like, Mac having, like, flashbacks to something. I feel that would have been good. But it's still fine as it is. The fighting at the end, I really like that they were doing it through the back of the truck. And I'm happy that main characters were taking damage. Like, you go through a lot of books or stories, and the main characters aren't really taking damage or aren't getting hurt. And I really hate that because, like, it really seems like the threat's not a problem because they're main characters. No, Keegan got shot in the shoulder, and Lonnie got ripped open near her ribs. Not seriously to the point where they're like, oh no, we're going down, but to the point where, like, yeah, main characters can get hurt here. So I'm really happy about that they actually took the time to do that. Like, battle damage is important. So, yeah, overall this was pretty good. I'm going to get the rest of the chapters as I go, but like I said, in between I'll do characters. And coming up next, probably the least talked about or least known of the group, we're going to talk about Tack. So, I'm either going to do Tack, or maybe just go over the Hivebusters as a whole of what they do, or what the history of the program itself is, or if they are with the COG or not. As far as we know right now, they aren't, but you don't know. So that's really going to do it. Like I said, a really short and, well, short for me, but a nice, really quick refresher and review on a comic that's already been out for over a year, then I'm late to the game for finishing. So I'd like to thank everyone for making this possible. Thank the patrons for making this possible. Thank you guys for making this possible. Thank the viewers, of course. Everyone just have a great one. I'll see you in the next Gear Talk, even the next video. See you later.